Welcome to another episode. So we're going to dive right into this. Where are we? Where are we as a people? Where are we as a society? Where are we as a nation? Where are we as a family? Far too long, way far too long, we have been caught up into a world that's not real. This world that we live in is what the top 1% wants us to see. This world is what they want us to see because they know who are in control of this, of all this. Where we lost ourselves is the connection with the allegories of the Bible and who we really are as a people. If we understand ages, if we understand the cycles of ages, then we can align all of this and relate to it in the Bible. But some people take the Bible so literal, they just think the locusts are coming, epidemic, whatever. It's not so. It's not so. You're lost. You're lost. This is how we should look into it. Before the Bible was ever written, people had to use astrology for guidance. And this knowledge would be passed on for generations. And what they would notice is ever so often a cycle, a change happens. And the change happens by they can tell the changes by documenting what's been happening over generations. They could freely look up and just tell and just look at the stars and look at the cosmos and see how everything is aligned. See what positions, what star is in, and what position the moon is in, what angles, things like that. And they would document these things over generations. Now, these teachings have guided us somehow to a point where we understand what's going on a basic level. Meaning, you will look at a horoscope and you see these signs and you say, okay, Aries, this is going to happen, or this is going to happen. You're going to have favor today, or you're going to have this today or that today. That is so basic. They have thrown these things out in your faces to use astrology for that purpose, but it's not so. It's not so. If you study astrotheology, you would understand that the reasoning of the Bible is the same reasoning in the cosmos. You would understand that a lot of these things are allegories, while some of them may happen on Earth, which is still a part of the cosmos, which is still a part of the entire system. Earth is in space. Earth is in the universe. We are so blind to what the simple things we have to look at. So let's dive into this. Every 2,150 to 60 years, there is a cycle change. We enter into a new age. So when the Bible refers to Genesis, it's referring to 8,640 years ago, because each age is 2,160 years. And we have passed through Gemini, which was in the beginning. We have passed through Taurus. We have passed through Aries, and we've just ended Pisces. Now we've entered into the age of Aquarius. The Bible was written 2,160 years ago in the age of Pisces. Now we're in the age of Aquarius. This reasoning refers to when the Mayans told us that time was done. And time supposedly was done on December 21st, 2012. Some references says that the age of Aquarius does not begin until 2608. But if you follow the construct of the Mayan calendar, It ended on December 21st, 2012. This was when everyone was going crazy, saying the earth would end and Jesus was coming back. But it's only that we were entering into a new age, the alignment of the vernal equinox, which actually happens in March. So in the beginning with Gemini, we spoke about two. We spoke about Cain and Abel. We spoke about Adam and Eve. We spoke about making a man, making a woman. And so that age lasted for 2,160 years. The significance of that is pay attention to what goes on in the cosmos and align it with what goes on in the Bible. If you can properly identify the relationships between each era in the Bible and each cycle in life, then you would understand that they're all related. So, in that age, we had Gemini. And Gemini was all about the two, the twin, because male and female is a singular. One is a womb man and one is just a man. But they're from the same flesh. They're from the same makeup. Okay. 2,160 years later, the cycle changed and we ended up in a cycle called Taurus, where it was all about farming and grazing and cattle and things like that. And that lasted for so long. When that cycle was about to be over, we're now entering into Aries. Now, this is where the Bible made reference to Moses coming off the mountain and making reference to the golden calf, Taurus, the cow. And they destroyed the calf, and he presented the Lamb of God. And this is when we went over into Aries. It was all about the sheep. It was all about the lamb. Everything that goes on was all about sacrificing the sheep and the lamb. So this went on for about 2,150 to 2,160 years. Now, each one of these cycles have its significance, have its change in how people behave, how people think. It's a total reset of everything. It's like the coming of a new age, the coming of a Messiah. It's like a messianic message. It's a brand new thought process. We have to figure out new ways of how to do things. And it's by nature where our minds start to develop these processes, not from our own understanding, but from a higher understanding, from infinite intelligence. So we moved over into Aries. So 2,160 years later, there was a gentleman showed up. His name was Jesus, who was prophesied by Isaiah 700 years before he was born. This is when we ended up in Pisces out of Aries. With Pisces, it was all about the fish. Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. We as a generation was born into the age of Pisces. And this is where we grew up to see the Jesus fishes on the cars and everything was about Jesus. And this is what we came to believe, that Jesus was the only Son of God. Jesus pretty much told us so we are all sons of God through faith in him. See, when Jesus was going to the upper room, his disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" So he sent 2 of his disciples and told them, "Go into the city, and a man carrying a pitcher of water will meet you. Follow him." This is when we're about to transition into Aquarius, the age that we now find ourselves in. It's a beautiful thing for us to actually experience this change. It's nothing to be concerned about as far as if you're going to live, if you're going to die, who's doing what, why the world is so crazy. No, we're going over into a new age. It's a time of reset. The transition slowly occurred when they were saying the Mayan calendar was going to end, because it's the end of a cycle. It's the end of an age, and it's the beginning of a new age, the beginning of a new cycle. So now we're in the age of Aquarius. We find ourselves wondering what the hell is going on. Well, what's going on is this. Everything has to reset. Right now, if you look at the coronavirus, if you look at what's going on and all these things, we can say it's a conspiracy. We can say it's Bill Gates. We can say it's Ted Turner, who is pushing the population sustainability effort. We can say all these things. We can say it's President Trump did something to China and it backfired on us. We can say all those things. We can say all these things. But what we're not thinking about saying is what's going on with the transition of this cycle, the transition into the age of Aquarius. Why was everyone freaking out about the Mayan calendar? And because they thought nothing happened, they just forgot about it. But we can't forget about it because it happened and we experienced it. But they have to shove it aside because Jesus is not a person to come back out of the skies and say, we're all going to die and, judgment and all that stuff. That's not what's going to happen. Jesus said, we are all the sons and daughters of God. It's a concept. It's an allegory. See, I don't subscribe to any religion. So this is a concept. This is where you find the water power. This is where you find this element that's so powerful. Everything comes out. Everything has to do with water. Water meaning whether it comes through tears, your saliva, the ocean, anything, as long as it has to do with change. In the age of Aquarius, this is where your old ideas are washed away. This is where it's driven by technology. This is where it's driven by coming out of your shells. This is where everything becomes free game. It becomes open. We can act and do as we please. It's a reset in the beginning until we understand how to think, how to act, and how to speak in this new age. And then it will come to a level. And it's going to take a while because it begins with a destruction and then it will pan out. If you do project management, you would refer to the top man ladder, things like that. You have to face that storm because before it can come back to a norm. So these things that are happening it's not a surprise. These things must happen. Whether it was done by man or if we're in a simulation or however you want to look at it, it had to happen. Because even if we're in a simulation, we're in a computer simulation, the energies from infinite intelligence are driving the way people think within the age. So it's going to drive them to that level where they can develop these things and get all this knowledge and create all this mess or create greatness or create whatever you want to create. But now it's open game. Social media has totally leveled the platform. Now an actor is no more important than just the regular Joe. Everything has been leveled. And these changes are coupled with new technology like 5G to accelerate these changes into the age of Aquarius. The CEOs of major companies, all gone. All the countries now, they're actually building a virtual wall around their country because of coronavirus. It's a total reset. Total reset. The stock market is crashing. Everything is tumbling. Total reset. Everything is being washed away. Everything. We enter the age of Aquarius with change, the illusion of the first black president, and then a non-politician. By next year, there will be so many females in higher places in politics. The vice president may just be a female. We have to understand these changes and what they mean. We have to understand these changes and what they mean. The notion of coronavirus coming from a bat and snakes is garbage. That's what we're seeing in this world. If you remove the drapes, you'll see something totally different. You will see something totally different. For years and years and years, people have been telling us that these things will happen. And they've been preaching love. They've been preaching love. John Lennon, love. Look at Woodstock. It was all about love. And they've been preaching love for years, but we weren't listening. We're thinking about a different type of love. We're thinking about emotional love. These people are talking about the law of love. A law you cannot break. And love is the answer. After Moses gave us all 10 commandments, Jesus came back and said, pretty much what he said was, listen, don't listen to those commandments right now, because the greatest commandment you need to have in your head is to love thy neighbor as you love yourself. That is the greatest commandment. This is when Jesus comes back into our consciousness. And this is why it feels so different. But if you understand how to receive him, you'll be just fine. You will be just fine. You just have to understand to receive it with love. That's it. There's nothing else to it. We're in the age of Aquarius, a total reset. The foods are out. There's no food to eat. Everything is a mess. Everything is stock market is crashed. Now we're going to the digital world. Now we're going into the world of artificial intelligence, where one day artificial intelligence will not know how to differentiate itself from a human, and a human will not know how to differentiate itself from an artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, this coronavirus is not something that came from bats and snakes. This is in the construct of this programming. It's like you injected a virus into the program. In the next years to come, we're not going to be saying flu anymore. That language is going to change. It's going to change over time. It's the new way of thinking, spending, buying food. Our fiat money has no more value. It's all digital. How we socially integrate with each other. Everything has changed. The way we think, our minds are changed. We are a totally changed people after 2011, because 2012, we had to go in with a bang before the Mayan calendar ended. Open your eyes and look around you and understand that everything works by numbers. It's all a program, zeros and ones. And a lot of people get caught up in this entire program as zeros and ones. And they walk around so programmed. They go to work, they come in, they sit down, watch TV, take a shower, make love, go to bed. Tomorrow, it's the same thing. Over and over and over and over again. Never one day break that cycle. But when you're in a lie for so long, you will never know how to recognize the truth. And so they're programmed to be that way. If one day they show up at home and suddenly you go in the house and there's no furniture, there's no couch to sit on, you freak out. Everything goes berserk. programmed. We're all programmed to believe certain things. But until you recondition the way your mind, you recondition the way you think about yourself, understanding that you have to look within yourself if you want liberation, if you want freedom. The easiest way to forget about people and things on every is stop looking out and start to look in. Because it's when you look out, you see that garbage. Look within yourself and focus on your brain and focus on your heart. Focus on an organ. And you can actually heal yourself by doing that. But if you're not focusing on yourself, within yourself, and you're looking out, it's all garbage. And you get caught up and you become scared and you have fear. Next thing you know, we're walking around. There's martial law all over the place. State of emergency. We're struggling for food. We're shooting people's head off because they have a virus and we don't want to contract it. It's like the Walking Dead. We have transitioned into the age of Aquarius. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of learning things. This is our new planet.